라자카라 저거 조금 사망을 들이 자시들이 작합 소소거든요. 라자카라 저거 두지체 롱라.
Buddha says Tashidele to all Natama friends who are joining us on the live stream from the various countries. Thank you for joining and long life.
Welcome everyone to our annual winter event at the Garchen Institute. We're so happy you can all join us from around the world for these important long life practices for His Eminence Garchen Rинбочи. And we are happy to have Tuku Chimi Dorje Rинбочи to join us in this wonderful event, along with Drupal Rinchen Dorje Rинбочи and Kempo Tenzin. And Yeshi Lama and Lama Bunima and Lama Abu. So we'll begin today with the Yellow Prayer Book opening prayers and then go to the Vajrasattva Sadhana for the English sessions, which will be in the morning. Thank you.
촉발이 얘가 강한들이 잡히긴 요거 촉발이 얘네한테 따다담을 막으면 토리들이 말았지 알고 봐서 저거지니 그 소망을 저요래 이 뜻당들이 나와도 하자 짜치고 이제 또 하고 듣지 되게 동아에 쉬게 듣지는데 내 삼지 하자 듣지 짜치면 들라 이 삼 짜치고 강이들이 이 자식이 봐도 째월라 레발이 이런 타토는 되어 가리 속도 쓰는 저거 제비신이 생기 탐지를 핀바다 산속선바 탐지 물론 가리죠 산속선바 남녀는 모두 톡로 공급소 어디 산속선바 탐지들이 가는 핀바다 되어 사와주면 탐지들이 그러기 매요 말이 내 탐지들이 그때 샤베 뛰야 그 체들이 게다가 뭐 그랬더니 테라스지 쪽졌다 이렇게 게다 강도면더니 라라라는 것은 남자다 되게 똑거들이 이 속이 야와세다 기바 탐질라 이런 게 연구요래 이 하작기 침몰 때는 죽죠 이 침몰요래
So we are holding a long life ceremony, and so you're holding this now on behalf of my name, and that's also why, because many people feel great love for me, but so generally, whatever virtue we practice, this is the view that is so the precious, the kind of the attitude, the state of mind. It's the love that arises, and it's also a special time for overholding this ceremony because we are also actually commemorating Chetsong Kappa. It's also a special holy day, and then also it is a holy time in the Christianity when we think about to commemorate Jesus. So it's a precious time, and then a precious thought or intention, really that is love. And it is also the ultimate result or the ultimate goal. And because all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and the 3 times, all the spiritual masters, they only pray for the benefit of all sentient beings. In one of the prayers, it says, may the virtuous activities to benefit sentient beings, of the virtuous activities of the Bodhisattvas to benefit sentient beings be all fulfilled. And so they all possess an altruistic mind and is actually beyond any religion. So we should really pray for all of their long life. And whatever virtue you practice, you dedicate it for all of them, for all of their long life. And so wherever you are, whatever virtue you accumulate, it is through the power of this noble, this vast intention that you will actually access, connect to the essence, the heart essence of all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. And that's the reason why it is so important to join such a ceremony. All mother sentient beings, limitless is space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. All mother sentient beings, limitless is space, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be free from suffering, and swiftly may they attain precious, unsurpassed, perfectly complete enlightenment. For that purpose, until I attain Buddhahood, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. Until death, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. From today until this time tomorrow, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past gave rise to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. I take refuge in the Buddhas until I attain the essence of awakening. Likewise, I take refuge in the Dharma and in the assembly of the Bodhisattvas. Just as the Buddhas of the past to bodhicitta and progressed along the Bodhisattva's path, so shall I give rise to bodhicitta for the benefit of all beings and practice the stages of the Bodhisattva's path. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as space, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. Page 7. Sorry, no, we're going to the Bazarssad facade now, on page 1.
Хадабны өдрийн амгалан альтрий. За өнөөдөр бол жил болгон явагддаг өвлийн улирлын ном уншлаг болон Гарчэн Ринбочи багшид Бат Оршил өргөх ном. За мөн шинэ он гарсны дараа 1-р сараас Таван Гишүүнт Махамутрын соёлдод буюу одоо соёрхолыг тайлбарх гэсэн эдгээр номуудын хөтөлбөр байгаа. За тэгээ өнөөдөр ялгамжаатай нэг төвдийн тооллын зулын 25 буюу зонхов богдын нирван болсон мөн зонхов богдын их дүүчийн өдөр байгаа. Зулын 25 төвдийн тооллоор одоо болж байгаа ийм өдөр байна. Тэгэхээр энэ өдөр бас давхцаж бид өвлийн улирлын энэ сайхан номыг эхэлж байгаа нь маш бэлэг дэмбэрэлтэй юм аа. Өнөөдрийн энэ хүү өвлийн улирлын номонд Гарчэн Ринбочи багш маань заларсан байна. Мөн гар чимэд дөрж Ринбочи заларсан байна. Мөн лама иши заларсан байна. Лама дөрмпүн ринчүн дөрж Ринбочи багш маань заларсан байна. Мөн лама кэмбо болон бусад лам хуургууд олон ламнар мөн Гарчэн буддист институтэд банк залан байдаг олон ламнар мөн дотоос лама бо мөн лама бунима тэргүүтэн олон ламнар гэж заларсан байна. За тэгээ өнөөдөр Базарсад бурхны ном уншлаг анханд нь эхэлж байна. Тэгээ Базарсад бурхны ном маань ер нь их болсон хамаг амтны тусын тулд мөн их болсон хамаг амтны хязгаарлалшгүй цагаас тэргүүшгүй цагаас бие ихэл сэтгэл гурваар хураасан элдв алдаа гим нүгэл хэлэнц эдгээр бүгдийг ариусгадаг. Бидний сэтгэлийг маш ариун тунгалаг гэрэл гэгээтэй болгодог ийм гайхамшигтай бясалгал бүтээлийн ном байна.
By the light rays streaming forth from the seed syllable at my heart, the objects of refuge, Guru Vajrasattvam, the three roots, and the assembly of deities in the network of magical illusions are
Миний өмнө огтор гойд хоосон чанар номын агаарт бадамлын ухаа цэцэг нар сарын дэвсгэр түүний дээр цагаан өнгийн очир түүний голд нь цагаан өнгийн хум өсгнээс асар их гэрэл цацраад тэр цацарсан гэрлийн мөн чанарт нь Базарсад бурхан нэгэн тэргүүнтэй хоёр мотортой хоёр хөлөө завилсан дүртэй баруун гартаа хонхыг барьж жингнүүлэн дуургасан зүүн мотортой очрыг барьсан таван хүмүүст очийг барьсан Базарсад бурхан маш сайхан мишэлцэнгүй дүрээр залрлаа. Базарсад бурханы тойроод хязгааргүй олон бурхан бодисодва нар хязгааргүй олон төгс жаргалангийн бурхтын дүрээр залран үзэгдлээ.
Just like the victors of the past, I will endeavor in the ultimate goal of all sentient beings, to take across those who have not crossed, to free those who are not freed.
Хязгааргүй тэргүүшгүй цагаас хязгааргүй олон өмнө төгс гийгэрсэн бурхад луга адил тэдгээр бурхтууд үргэлжид их болсон хамаг амтны тусын тулд хязгааргүй бодийн сэтгэл мөн хоосон чанарыг таньсан бэлэг ухаан хоёрыг хослуулсан их буйнаар төгс гийгэрч бурхны утгыг олсон ба тэрнтэй ижилхэн тэдгээртэй ижилхэн бие бээрч гисэн өмнө бүх төгс гийгэрсэн бурхтын тэр гигэн бод мөрийн зам мөрөөр замнан одоо би ч хязгааргүй их болсон хамаг амтны тусыг бүтээл үүний тухайд бодийн сэтгэлийг үүсгэн төрүүлье.
Back to page 3. Victors and your ears of the 10 directions, please come here and be seated in the unmoving, inseparable expanse.
Ял төгс нөгцсөн бурхан Базарсад бурхан та бээр миний өмнө огторгойд маш баттай залраад хөдлөшгүйгээр залран их болсон хамаг амтны тусыг бүтээхэд надад аштын нөхөр болон заларнуу.
Back to page 4. All phenomena, everything is emptiness. Great bliss, luminosity is the dynamic potential of compassion. Of beings and establishing them in the state of Vajrasattva. Gathering back, it transforms, and instantly I become Guru Vajrasattva, white with one face, smiling peacefully, hair in a top knot and adorned with jewels, right hand holding a Vajra at the heart center, the left resting a bell on my thigh, seated with my two legs in Vajra posture, replete with all the excellent marks and signs. I am beautifully dressed in silk ribbons, scarf, headdress, shirt, and skirt, excellently adorned with a crown, earrings, short necklace, medium necklace, long necklace, bracelets, and anklets. On my lap is white Vajra Garvi, a youthful 16-year-old holding a curved knife and a skull cup. Bearing the 5 mudras, she embraces the Lord. She is vividly visualized in an expanse of radiant light. On my crown are Om, Hung, Dam, Shri, the identity of the 5 wisdoms. In my crown, throat, and heart, Om, Ah, Hung, bless my body, speech, and mind. In my heart center, upon a lotus and moon, is a white 5-pronged Vajra. In its center on the moon disk is the syllable Hung, encircled by the 100 syllables. Inconceivable light rays radiate out, purifying misdeeds, obscurations, habits, illnesses, and evil influences, making pleasing offerings to the Sugatas, gathering blessings of body, speech, and mind, delighting the gurus and diadams, and mending the heart samaya with Vajra siblings and dakinis. And they clear away the Dharma protectors' grudges and call upon them to perform the 4 activities. They pacify the malice of maras and obstructors and purify the karma and obscurations of all beings. The vessel and contents become Vajrasattva's pure land, the play of deity, mantra, and wisdom.
Anuradu me baba ya sarvaside me jaye. Sarvada dangada beda mama menda benda baba mahazamaya sado beda zado zamaya manu balaya meda zado dinabai de janro me baba Sadakaya me baba, subikaya me baba, anuradu me baba, sarvaside me jayita, savagama sudha me zadan kiryan guru Aho Bangave Sarva Dadangada Meda Mama Meda Meda Bhav Mahasamaya Sado Meda Sado Samaya Manu Balaya Meda Sadu no bai de jan no me baba Sade kaya me baba Subu jayo me baba Anarado me baba Sarvazidem me yeah Benda baba Mahasamaya Sado Savaranaga Wamayuneda Janame Junadamani Lendanuzumeyaradan Yamanamadulimidonerinjigariya Arvisandabhamadanyadadandavuyele Urjihongenzambale Wandrizindrizi Novelendamalijan Durjizambazalaku Sunde yonjurgejela Yandungalama Durjizi Arbogajegegandu Amvatudurinjinji Sayendurjidugano Yembedruvakaladi Zambizidamjezo Sadadajanjubidanduyo meyo zibari Yunjinjangurjidan Samudodandugardan Namjelebarjinandadorjinamjan Andognadoginabenya
Back to page 12. From within emptiness of all phenomena in front of me appear the elements, and thereon mount Meru. Above arises 1,000-petaled lotus. In its center from the broom appears a jewel celestial palace. In its vast center, on a lion throne, lotus, sun, and moon, is the syllable Hung, vividly present as a vajra marked with Hung. Light streams forth, making offerings to the victors and gathering their blessings, purifying all the karma and obscurations of beings and establishing them in the state of Vajrasattva. Gathering back, it transforms and instantly becomes Guru Vajrasattva. In space in front, white with one face, smiling peacefully, hair in a top knot and adorned with jewels. Right hand holding a vajra at the center, the left resting a bell on the thigh, seated with 2 legs in vajra posture, replete with all the excellent marks and signs. I am beautifully dressed in silk ribbons, scarf, headdress, shirt, and skirt, excellently adorned with a crown, earrings, short necklace, medium necklace, long necklace, bracelets, and anklets. On his lap is white Vajragarvi, a youthful 16-year-old holding a curved knife and a skull cup. Bearing the 5 mudras, she embraces the Lord. She is vividly visualized in an expanse of radiant light. On his crown are Om Hung Dram Shri the identity of the 5 wisdoms. In his crown, throat, and heart, Om Ah Hung, bless body, speech, and mind. Light radiates from the Hung at his heart. Thereby, the wisdom beings are invited from their natural abodes. Hung, victors and ears abiding in meditative equipoise in the Dharma Dhatu, please arise in form kayas as Vajrasattva, and out of compassion come close to me. Hung, great wisdom, Vajrasattva, please abide firmly until awakening. I pay homage to you, the Lord of the Sugatas, who causes liberation of limitless beings. Wisdom offerings infinite like space arise from an ocean of merit, inconceivable, offering water, foot water, flowers, incense, lamps, perfume, water, food, and music. I offer them to Vajrasattva and his ears. Hung, may Guru Vajrasattva be delighted by big Samantabhadra offering clouds of form, sound, smell, taste, touchables, royal attributes, auspicious symbols, auspicious substances, and the like.
Namo sarva dvada gada bayo megyo mugebe sarva daga ungade zabarana manganga nagamo. zemi baba manwa jimo majimo neyon jebe demona lama jesenamo.
Whom I offer to Guru Vajrasattvam immeasurable wisdom, the best of the dakas, the great red of great bliss, and cloud banks of dormas for sense pleasures. Whom the play of method and wisdom, bliss and emptiness brings about the delight of the non-dual yoga. The maras, which are confusion of dualistic grasping out of ignorance, are liberated in self-luminosity without reference point. Thus I offer without considering the act of offering and the object of worship. However, the spontaneous presence of the natural expression is great joy.
Mahasuga Tanangana Damadadu Kundavu.
Whom inseparability from unwavering knowledge, dharmakaya, spontaneous presence of great bliss, sambhogakaya, skillful means of compassion, nirmanakaya, I bow down to you, Vajrasattva. You possess a conch shell collar without stains. Your signs and marks are complete. You hold Vajra and bell of non-dual appearance and emptiness, and you are united with Vajragarvi. I pay homage to you, Vajrasattva.
드리다다 도르제선 먹범데 네 단사벨로 요라리 도르제선 바송 네 대인주요 강리 무슨 득바라 용디 미장 득바라 샥베인 득바데 용디 인성 베스를 베말라리 바레지 말라리 득바토 버치게 바레지 이 득바트는 게 빠지네더니 까들이 그래서 속 봐서 까지네더니 때리더니 인자벨링들이 선lang상 성구용 뒤에도 그 이제만을 봐줘 대전이 돼야 되는 조바스들이 중앙에 대외들이 저는 이보 top 저도 성구요래 이보 top 성는 양 뒤들이 이 빠르들이 강도 쳐버리죠 또 이제는 또 뜻도 쳐버리 탐지가 썸못 딴 거리 이 썸못 땅에서 다 강리들 리다다 로아를 두고 소시 등에 하여튼 좋아 말라를 때가 나지 등에서 통제발 리다 등에지 내가서 보봐라 파파 탐지 카페라 전딜라 그래 저들라 그래 제 카페나 돈 어버리 강리 지도 control 가든 인시 대기 쪽에 control 가든 인시 control 소리 control 사제 샘가리 족 사제 샘도 삼제리 그래 뭐다 삼제를 가르는 네가 중지적 탐나요 너 르토 맞다 또 강이 봐 네가 그쪽 보니 또 삼제를 가르는 control 소리 control 사제 소리 사제 샘리 샘가리 샘삼제리 사제 샘도 고요리지 사제 거도 카드는 다 생각이 요래 수능 사클마데 샘을 핑하고 요래지
The practice of Vajrasattva, the meditation and recitation of Vajrasattva is widely renowned in the world. And it is said that even though negative deeds do not have any good qualities, they had one, then it would be the quality of their potential of being confessed, purified, and thereby purified through confession. And the best example of that is Jetsu Milarepa. He actually committed the gravest sin of sins, but then in the end he regretted. And with great regret, he endured many hardships, completely forsaking his life force and own body. And now he is renowned as Milarepa, who had completely perfected all enlightened qualities on the outer, inner, and secret levels. And these qualities have all arisen from his regret, actually. And so normally we always speak about, in the context of Vajrasattva practice, the antidotal 4 powers. And of these 4 powers, what is most important is one there's one that we surely have to understand, that we all have to really reflect upon. So now, within the 6 realms of samsara, each of the kinds of beings experiences their own individual suffering. For example, as human beings, we experience the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death. We all experience that. And so when happiness or suffering arise, there's actually a Tibetan proverb that the normal Tibetans usually always say, and it actually really is true. And so that starts with, when I'm happy, it is the kindness of the three jewels. So even the slightest happiness is the kindness of the three jewels. But who are the jewels? The jewels ultimately are the Buddha. And then who is the Buddha? Is the Buddha the body, or is the Buddha the mind? And the Buddha is the mind, a mind of love. So it's ultimately the kindness of love. So even the slightest happiness arises because of love. Anywhere in the 6 realms of samsara, for example, as a human or as an animal, the slightest happiness that arises is the kindness of love. So therefore, again, who is the jewel? The jewel is the Buddha. And who is the Buddha? The Buddha is the mind. And the Buddha's mind is a mind of love. So that's most important. The Buddha's mind is most important, not the body. If you would carry around with you the Buddha's body, of course there would be some blessings and some merit, but it will be very difficult for that alone to benefit your mind.
Lali Soptimus, Dugni Mali Dabde Dule Jones, Dokosanji Jimpin Semlin Chongzi, then Sao Song Yore, Danjinke, Da member Dadi, Semlin Sanjik, Da Yomari, Delunci Da, Daga Soltane Yori, Dali Numumba Tokji, they Hama, Tinumumba Tokti, the Rakbak Chadangi, Chawak Redoni. Ti니까 카파바는 게더니 살지래 살 어디다 딜레가 오므리지 디지스 레롱지스 조스 레고앙디 레고앙 가리리드나 다다 라왕 르바라 라왕 마토들 레왕한 조고 요래 다지 니오니 다고앙 차로 요래 대외는 디지털은 레박자 싹세데 강에 일마딱 들어냐는데 요래 제지티송 공부송거리 점제 기적 삼라서 이제 마삭으로 냠도 요래 들이 소소소소 삼노 땅아 랑 도로나기 로도 요다메 소소소소 자 오냐 도로냠도 로도 메는 다다다 랑 세부 사운조서 갑자더니 사운도 담아고 생활은 이제 상계리 리 상계리 생기는 상계 인성 생활도 나갔다 저리라 로다 저리 제라 상원 가야지 좋거든 네 말이라 다 집아들 님뭐 쪽도 막 찾지 카바바는 자꾸 요리 냠이 미시 왔던지 들이 초 달차 달고 토를 카바바는 들 카다 서가고 그래 야 냠이 지나 가니 냠이 계시 봐요 같이 상태리 오 상계 강에 상계 상태를 주라고 차대요리 님뭐도 하고를 따따랑 들이 라랑 그들이 샤스마 토를 카바바는 들이 다 산지 투지 되고 남대 띠요래 텔레들 득발 샤치 바데 득발 해봐 뭐시를 들이지 제바가 님뭐 초아 세는 매 봐서는 라고 시작을 시작랑 촉바 토나한테 라고 시작을 때 님뭐 봐니 뭐 하고 진제 등이 뭐 하고 지방아니 들이 뒷가는 님뭐 세라고래지 메토로 사운 그리 소리잖아 내라고 요래지 제가 매일 찾다 저기야 요마 따뜻한 잠을 무슨 거 제마 동네 통나 이제 매번 매일 요리 하고 요마 내ям들 뛰니 담백같이 하고 너한테 늘 맛이 사들로 봐 적당 매지 진짜 공업적으로送了嘛讲不能레셈 동네 참모 뭐죠 인도 저를 무슨 힘들지 인지 메토 상무도 샘디는 유모모 박차들 오니 디 박차들 때문에 이 촬영을 주들이 지우라 줘 밀라 줘 캐리나 줘 밀리나 줘 저랑한테 제 캐리랑 담아서 타드 상제가 띠요에 이렇게 따라하면 샘도 유모가지 상태가 시랍들이 상태를 띠는 다장 싫어했더니 니디장 다 데리서 탑대서 손으로 도지서 공대에 하장 짜친 모양 막 동대리 도지서 막 서도지서 막다 도지서 막 솔직히 강을 주고 죽고 도지서 막 란도 셈는 되어요 그래 로고 도지서 막 남고 잡혀요 다 참아지지 딱고 좀 감만 보여 그래 도지서 막 다다는 거 생각 내lok도 뒤에 도지서 봐요 되게 유문 봐 좀 턴나 어따 종아테 내가 또 듣발은 주바지 거리 주바 진 제버트 가리리 니몽도 제버 가리리 상모다나 저 무슨 몇가 통받아 들어오냐는 거래 그래서 뭐다 밥도 가고 숙제도 가고 이거 말들 안 하는 마음껏 너희도 커튼나 대지 놓아요 말이지 대하고 요말 대하고는 여보 대리지 니 보통 이제는 주바지 또 친구는 주바지랑 그 셋나 나는 유모 박차 야송나 내린 주바지 이렇게 적어요 이 서타디 다 삼티다 시합지 시합을 못 밤에 봐 삼티를 때 다디서 다디 돌면 요거 저저 요만이 그때 랑다 네파 김파 엠체들이 이런 도게만 보용 진짜 성화하고니 그때 주로는 걸 마티랑지들이 루트코면도 다 하고서는 야보요 이상 내가 그때는 쉬어니 내 마음 벌때 기쳐보요래 와자고 도지선마 사도지선마 낭도지선마 송도지선마 사지기 대식는 뭐래 내록이라고 세고 내록들 람 내록이 있죠 이 마치 이성 라신 사지에 좀 뭐마치성 이게 상제 싸 상제 이제 상제도 싸마서 그거래 어래 사지 싸마 맞을 사제라들 서로 똑바로 똑같이 더 태국 요래 그때는 갑자기 남발 요네 값들 다 값들 지자 쳐버리 이러한 걸만 기르시니 싸치고 가는 대박 그거가 또 생기는 흥기가 또 그래 답지 이렇게 되지 사지게 땜바로 못 챙지 이만한 줄이 되면 잡아는 처럼 차로 요래 그때도 상모다는 이런 속과들 적는 이치 뭐요래 다시 델렉션인지
And so then that proverb continues. It says, and then if things go wrong, if I suffer, it is due to the force of my own karma, my past karma. So, and this karma, this force of karma, where does it come from? And where does it stay? In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. So in there, actually, it says it very clearly. So all suffering comes from self-grasping. It comes from the belief in a self that doesn't actually exist. So actually, there is no real self in the mind, but we are fabricating this self in our mind. And for as long as we believe in this self, there will always be the 6 afflictive emotions. But this is what people don't see. On the course level, we develop the emotions of attachment and aversion and anger, and their subtle counterparts are hopes and fears. And so then slowly, by allowing them to remain in our mind stream, we accumulate karma, just like snowflakes accumulating. And so this is what we call, we are following the winds of karma. We are controlled by karma, the force of karma. That means that awareness lacks freedom or independence or autonomy. And so that is because we grasp at the existence of a self. And that creates the existence of self and other. And this is what is meant by being controlled by the karmic winds or being under the power of self-grasping. And so with this self-grasping then in place, we accumulate karmas or karmic imprints in our mind. For example, now in this world, we can see humans and animals coexisting, different karmic manifestations. Regarding that, Lord Jigten Sumgön had said karma, cause and effect, or the karmic ripening, is the natural manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thoughts. So now we can see humans and animals live together. We see the body of an animal, how they live. So if you really think about it from your personal perspective now, you should ask yourself, do I actually want to be born like that? Do I want to be born as an animal? And so if you don't want to be born as an animal, then we have to eliminate the seeds that lead to such birth within our minds. And so generally the Buddha had said that all sentient beings are actually Buddhas. And the ultimate nature of our mind is like space or like electricity. So how is it then that we are placing seeds, karmic seeds, into this mind? So each and every day we cling to the self, and that causes the 6 afflictive emotions to constantly arise. And the arising of these emotions, unrecognized for somebody who doesn't know how to practice, is just like snow accumulating on a lake, and then eventually covering it and accumulating more and more. So someone who knows how to practice, on the other hand, they will be mindful of that. And with mindfulness, they give rise to love. And that is really the mind of the Buddha. It is a mind of love. And love is like the warmth or the heat that melts the ice blocks or the snow accumulating. And so how you melt that snow is by first recognizing the afflictive emotions the very moment right now when they arise. And then when they are confessed, and when they're recognized and confessed with regret, then the snowflakes will diminish, will melt away. And so a method to slowly melt that ice block was shown by the Buddha. And so the method to purify our negativities in our mind comes from confession, is confession. And so for that, it is necessary that we first recognize the wrong we have done. And that is the feeling of the afflictive emotion, is the feeling of afflictive emotion arising in the mind that has created the negativity. And by recognizing it, you can feel regret. So we speak about awareness or wisdom holding itself with stability. If you uphold awareness with stability, you recognize the afflictive emotion when they arise. And as the emotion arises, immediately you know that this is what will lead to suffering in the end as a result. So within that such a state, it actually can become quite easy to eliminate the afflictive emotion, which is the cause of suffering. It is just like the seed of a flower. So as long as the flower is still in its seed state, so there's no flower yet, there's just a seed, it's easy to get rid of it. It's more difficult when it already has ripened into a flower, then you already have the result. And so we can actually in this world, there is actually constant suffering. People are constantly born and they die. It's just now that during the pandemic, we are told how many people die, so we know how many people have died. But in reality, beings always die constantly. And then there is no one in this world who doesn't have to die. Chamgyun Kongtrul said in the Calling the Guru from Afar that when the subtle like the seed of a flower in its subtle form is not eradicated, then it leads to birth in the inferior states of existence, because these seeds are the karmic imprints, and the karmic imprints are like things that are stored in the mind and later projected like a film, a TV show. So if you trust in karma, whether you or not you trust in karma actually doesn't make a difference. But if you trust in karma, then you will apply the methods that the Buddha had given to purify the mind of these karmic imprints. And so the method in brief is to cultivate love and wisdom. Love is what purifies the self, and wisdom purifies the dualistic grasping. It is a method to clear away all stains in the mind. And so it is said that the supreme method to do so, which is like the of the Buddha's teachings, is the meditation and the recitation of Vajrasattva. So it is a very precious, very special practice. And then there are different aspects of Vajrasattva. The outer aspect is Vajrasattva's the appearance in the 10 directions and 3 times, and the Nirmanakaya forms. And then the Nirmanakaya is connected to Sambhogakaya and Dharmakaya, with the Dharmakaya being connected to your own mind. The Sambhogakaya of Vajrasattva is also like Dharmakaya, all pervasive. There are countless pure lands in all the directions. And then what's most important is the ultimate Vajrasattva is the nature of your mind. It is when you realize the nature of the mind that is Vajrasattva. And so if in order to eliminate the afflictive emotions, we first have to recognize the wrong we have done, the negativity in these emotions. And then, so that's the most important of those 4 powers, we need to regret the negativity or the afflictive emotion. And so, because we recognize what are the results, the effects of the 6 afflictive emotions. So we can see right now in this world, humans and animals coexist. We can see the suffering that they experience. And so all of that arises from the afflictive emotions. And so now, of course, if one is able to endure all the suffering of the lower realms, then one can bring those afflictions with one. But if one is not able to endure this suffering, one has to recognize the root cause of suffering, which is this feeling of afflictive emotion arising in the mind. So of the 4 powers, the most important one is the power of regret. And that means to regret the negativity in their seed state, which are the afflictive emotions, the karmic imprints within the mind. It's very important to regret these. And then we apply the method of love and wisdom. Wisdom is the non-conceptual method, unobjectified method, and love is what clears away self-grasping. And there is not one afflictive emotion that doesn't arise out of self-grasping. And so I'm like kind of a doctor who is an old sick person, like a veteran, and meaning that I have experienced much suffering myself, and I have gained complete certainty that this is certainly how you can clear it away. I've seen it, experienced it myself, and therefore I feel compelled of telling you, my Dharma friends. I can't help but tell you. You must know that. So that is why I'm sharing that with you today, because this is really most important. And so I'm asking you also to keep that in mind. So these are basically the 3 aspects, the outer, inner, and secret aspect of Vajrasattva. And so on the secret level, on the ultimate level, Vajrasattva is the awakened mind, the Buddha, or your own Buddha nature, the natural state of your mind. Also, it is said that I have not recognized the natural state of my mind, and I have not seen that my own mind is actually Buddha. So the Buddha had said, you must purify your own mind. If you do not purify your own mind, then the outer a semblance of a Buddha, will also not be of much benefit. So therefore, so please keep the ultimate aspect of Vajrasattva in mind and engage in practice. And it's an excellent time because today at this time it is a very holy time, a holy day, and at that time give rise to faith and devotion to your own personal, your gurus, your root guru, and also compassion for all sentient beings. And in this way, pray for the long life of them all. In brief, if the Buddha's teachings, the precious teachings of the Buddha, are like the sun rising in the sky. So without that sun, you cannot eliminate the ice block. But when the sun arises, all the ice blocks in the world will become melted. So keep that in mind. And thank you for joining the practice and Dashi Dele. Now please take a break for 25 minutes.
Om Beda Somaya Mani Balaya Beda Sato Meba Obogo Meba Sapocha Meba and Rakto Meba Sawat Meba Sawagam Tamjiang Guru Bangari Beda Mami Beda 잠깐 조금 그 로사도 오고 살면 저도 뭐 좋고. 이번에 선거가 있지. 가자칼에 좀 상만을 같이 될래쇼이.
Thank you to all the Sangha and Dashi Dela, to everyone joining on the live stream.
Welcome everyone to the question and answer session with Garchэн Rинбочи. Rinpoche has said we will skip the opening prayers so we can be sure to get to all of the questions that were submitted. So the first question is, what is the La vital essence?
So, wait a minute. So the consciousness, so the consciousness actually wanders all over the place. So it's the like the essence of your consciousness. But for example, when from our perspective now, when you're, for example, sleeping at night, your body lies in the bed sleeping, but the consciousness goes around. It can travel around the entire world. And it's the same when you have died. There's this perception of like someone has died, and then someone who perceives various different things, various manifestations, and goes all over the place. But actually, in reality, the mind is all pervasive, and things just appear momentarily. But so, for example, the way we perceive it is that, so here I'm lying in bed sleeping, and then there is this consciousness that's going around, and while my body lies there sleeping, so we see it in this dualistic way, and that is the confused perception. Actually, the mind is all pervasive, pervades the entire universe, wherever there is space. And that is what the Buddha had realized with his omniscient wisdom. He realized that all of these perceptions are only the projections of one's own mind. So, for example, we perceive ourselves lying in bed and then a consciousness going around, or we have died and there's our dead body that we leave behind, and then there's a consciousness going around and going to hell and so on. So actually, it's all one and the same mind. It just appears in a dualistic way.
나와 도성은 이용을 그다음 나와 단지라고 sem제들 나와 심도 타주도 이용을 나와 마도고 버도 이용을 다들 적동이 용가서 그 참조는 이제 이 아도니 참는데 이라고 차대 내가 도만 로직 도마지 나 도성은 로직 도마지 직접 저거 니진이 저거 뭐 니진이 촬영을 해야지.
Now, somebody who has realized the view, to them they perceive everything in a non-dual way. As it is said, appearances or the way things appear is one's own mind. But until one has realized the view, the natural state, one perceives things in a dualistic way, and one suffers and one wanders around all over the place. So for example, so when we wander around in a bardo and so on. And so this is how it seems to us. But then to someone who has realized the view, to them, one taste appears as a diversity, and a diversity has one taste. And so therefore there is no duality. One thing can appear many different ways. But until one has realized the view, one will perceive things in a dualistic way.
Next question. I'm new to Buddhism and feel discouraged already because my Buddhist friends aren't as friendly and are much more judgmental than my non-Buddhist friends. How do I get started in a Buddhist group having had a negative first impression?
낭바의 맹토성나 대랑탈대 낭바 차들 낭바디 바디 강내들이 서당마 낭 세고 내려오기 니는 하고 그러더니 세 내려오고 하고 와타만 낭바리 낭 세고 내려오고 하고 와성지 소아들 세 열서 오지 그래 이런데 삼바된 hingi 진통이 뛰어 마마게 랑게지 잠 hingi가 니 데려고 얼마 더 저게 갖다 낭바 많이 봐 삼바된 hingi 치보여 요래 나빠 이바로 사바 인지 메바요래 용니 나빠 차는들이 삼바든지 사바 체베 받게라 근데 나보다 하고 오 삼바든지 싸치 버려들 그걸 남 세우 싸치 버려 세우 가리도 다 사바다 인지 싸치 버려서인데 나보고 따와들이 하고 그래 그렇지 나한테 용들이 유를 자구나 이 체메 맞도 받들이 삼신지 중도 유를 깨고 뭐 통원이 삼 나바를 해들이 되라고요 말이 띠라는 게 야하면 바차르지 다음 나가 요래지 이 산지가 300만 원送我 300만 원 센트 말 기발로 산지에는 무면 제도 넘바 인을 많이 센트는 유모 바고는 센티 되니 다 요래 다는 유모 요래 그 양치 말이 유모 요래 되는 데는 상관없어 그걸 맞아 저게 통원이 나가 돼서더니 나가 차요 말이지 얘는 소소 남바 제거나 다 3년째 다시 버려야지 내 학교는 30년 줬다 그래야지 내가 쌤들 시와 내가 자고 학교는 남바 따와 돼서 학교 요래 남바들 3년째 학교는 그 남바 학교는 이면 남바들 그렇다들 해서 뭐 그래서 말이지
When we somebody who what we call a Buddhist now, so it is there's an outer aspect and an inner aspect to that. So not necessarily like everyone who appears a way is a certain way. So for example, there are many non-Buddhists too who have understood the nature of the mind and non-duality and who have cultivated love and compassion. And then there is and then there's also many non-Buddhists that mainly consider the outer world, material things as most important. So anyways, what really makes someone a Buddhist is actually the magnitude of one's love and compassion. And that is something that one does not just develop momentarily, but one brings that continuum with one from previous lives. So there are some Buddhists who possess great love, and then there's many non-Buddhists who bring that from previous lives and who possess great love. But only when immeasurable love has arisen in the mind, then one actually understands the true Buddhist view. So in this experience, you should recognize that the preciousness of love and compassion, and that the mind is what's most important. Compassion is what's most important. If you understand that, then you have finally understood the actual Buddhist view. And so until that has actually arisen, you have not ultimately understood the Buddhist view, even though you have entered the Buddhist view. So it's not that someone enters the Buddhism and then one is a Buddhist and immediately one is like a Buddha. It's also not like that. It also depends on the imprints that one brings from previous lives. We still have to follow that. And even if we enter Buddhism, it just takes some time to develop immeasurable love. So the Buddha had also said in the Maitreya prayer that a Buddha doesn't blame sentient beings for their faults, for their stains, because they are sentient beings. And so since they are sentient beings, it means that they possess a self. And because they possess a self, they think that there is a self, there are afflictive emotions. And for as long as that is in place, they are sentient beings. But this is not something that the Buddhas are shocked about. This is just how sentient beings are. And because they have afflictive emotions, that's why we're here to clean them, to purify them. So we don't start out the Buddhist path as perfect Buddhists, like Buddhas. So everyone brings a different propensity with them. So if you want to practice and go and embark on the Buddhist path, you must understand the preciousness of love and compassion, that it is like warmth. And through that, you will understand the nature of the mind. And then in this way, you will really understand the Buddhist view. Still, whether they're Buddhist or non-Buddhist, they still are the same. The love in their mind is still the same. But when you really understand the significance of that you must cultivate love, then you have really understood the actual Buddhist view. So the Buddhist view is not about some kind of philosophical view or some tenet system. That alone is of no benefit. A Buddhist has to understand the preciousness of love.
Next question. How do you know when you are ready to start teaching the Dharma and accepting students? What is the proper motivation for doing this?
당보 주시바라 선난이 요래지 세랑게 요디 탑제 랍당 탑제 가래 신하랑게 가래티 어떤 은혜리 다 하고 성상 때 세 찾기네 나게 찾기는다 실제로 팽고 선불론 니게 나지 니가 피면 넣었다 그래지 핀sempre 도치버리 실제로 팽토 정말 막가래 차선 로데 내가 들이지 저거요래 일단 이제 말하게 송요 접지 말하게 랑 잡을 말했더니 사진 무슨 통감이 이제 주시 조지 동체 조송을 잡으려면 사진 것도 돈 라마타나시 사진선 특별히서 다도 뭐 대송 거요 다다 조치는들이 이비 로야 보나 내가 가르치는 되게 팽기 오래지
So for teaching the Dharma, there's also an outer and an inner aspect. And so the outer kind of criteria is that you have learned something and you have gained confidence and you know that this is really how it is. You have really understood the matter. And then you have the outer criteria to teach the Dharma. But the inner criteria that needs to be met is an altruistic mind that wishes to benefit sentient beings. So if you have this mind, when you feel, I really want to benefit all sentient beings, then this mind is the jewel that really will benefit yourself and others. And that really is kind of your sign of that you are now ready to teach them the Dharma, then it is okay. Also, Miller Repa had said, when you see the root guru as the actual Buddha, then that is the time where you're ready to perform the benefit of others or have disciples teach the Dharma. So what he's really saying is that he refers to the view, having realized the view that the guru, the Buddha, and one's own mind are actually indivisible. So, but in brief, if you have cultivated an altruistic mind, then whatever you do will be of benefit.
Next question. Sometimes when I meditate, my body, winds, and mind are calm and seem to connect as one. When I open my eyes and even move around, the world looks different because I don't fixate on a specific object. Is this experience related to shamatha or the union of shamatha and vipassana?
대신에 매력대 죽어 대화 좀 보시고 되게 생코랑 기대라더니 능이 싸워요. 생각 남이 찍바래. 이 뒤에는 뭐 때리더니 이디는 때리더니 등ni 차단 또 봐더니 저도 요막 주제 쳐다봐 차로 그래. 그랬더니 너게 대화를 차동이 좀 저거요. 진짜 샘루로 차야 돼. 샘 매력은 때가 해오는 거지. 그 continuing 지나면 잡는 가도 손나 매력만 순차 매래와 샘 매력 실리지라 대화도 동이 가래 있는데 나만이 있잖아. 능이 쳐보고 라크가 말이 대화 침몰을 신바요 말이 드라마 받아도 참을 죽어도 문저로 하지 제 강만을送们就没有就这么地定就是吧的 나도 생고 내록도로서 저하고 매송 내록도 사제연부터 되지.
And so it is an experience of shamatha, calm abiding, and it is an experience also of a quality of the greatly blissful Dharmakaya. The actual nature of the mind, in the true nature of the mind, there is no suffering, because the mind is just like space. And all our discomforts arise from dualistic thinking and thinking that this is real, something is real. And so these thoughts of attachment and aversion then pollute the mind, so it becomes just like dirty water. And then we become attached to pleasurable, blissful experiences and want to avoid suffering experiences. But so then when the experience that your body and mind become calm and relaxed shows that you have gained some experience of the nature of the mind. Longchen Rabcham also had said in the Treasury of Pith Instructions, and that when you rest, when you see the natural state of the mind becomes kind of equanimous or like released or at ease. Then there is nothing affects you, so no suffering, no painful experience will overwhelm you, or you will not develop so much attachment to blissful experiences. The mind is very even and unchanging. Also in the Sekamare, the Golden Temple prayer, this is referred to as the spontaneously accomplished mind. So that is when you see the nature of the mind. So this experience is a sign of having gained an experience of the Buddha within your own mind.
남카를 시켜면 독산도 오 당나 시야면 독디 계시 탐지 다 저만은 일이 저희는 일이 상태는 들면서 동에 농이 매번 대화 전부 되게 나부터 사토가 되게
In the Vajrayana practice, it says, when you overcoming the demon of the Lord of death, may attain the power of immortality. So it is you overcome the demon of the Lord of death when you realize that the nature of the mind transcends birth and death. And this nature is what we call the Buddha Vajradhara. So we do experience suffering, painful experiences, but we can still understand that within the mind, these do not exist, because the mind is like space, and space cannot die. It is beyond birth and death. And so this is how you realize I actually cannot really die. My mind cannot die. And these various appearances, suffering appearances, are just like an illusion, or like a film, like a TV show that doesn't actually inherently exist. So the ultimate Buddhist view is to realize the great bliss mind that is without any suffering.
Next question. When you were in prison, how did you manage to look at your oppressors with compassion instead of anger?
So to be totally honest, I did get a little bit angry. But then I recognized actually the anger is a mistake. And I recognized that all that suffering is the karma that I myself have accumulated with afflictive emotions in previous lives. So now it is ripening. So then I learned to become angry at my own afflictive emotions and not at any outer person, outer object. But first, at first I did get a little bit angry, but then the anger went away. So we have to be angry at the afflictive emotions.
Next question. How can I get my subconscious mind to stop disliking my physical form?
nga nakwa nga yakwa mazok sango marek ba yakwa mazok kinchi me ba gibi shab me ba de shab takye kan nga yakwa yakchu ri oh so na ba simtin tamsi simtu sanje ri tukbo rang rang la che yore pe chata ma de ni nyoma ji ka sa ka song de ni da dong ni chata ni cha de ti sa ma rang rang zo tukbo yore ta ma zo le la wo yore tukwa chwa le la wo yo ta ma zo le la wo yore rang shirap ke oh na bo ka shana ti ji sa ma na wa ke sen 내록 때문에 내가 되니 나서 싸면서 저거 싸면서 탑도 사지게 띄우니 사지를 맞들이 주동에 지어오르지 마시 받더래 중심 보고 봤대 통은 이제 많이 돌적게 요래지 내 말이지 나 약고 이상 거든 나 사지인지 똑같이 뉴뭐 봐 말을 받게 해서 말을 받지 밤에 말이지 나가 봐요 보고서 딱 말랑 생상마서 그래서 사지 소자도 송 책기 송을 랑그 셈이 여기서 던전을 사지도 셈짱만 줘야 돼 사지를 때 많이送도 아지 내 양다면서 가는 걸 랍. 랑그 셈짱만 줘. 나또 봐 욕지.
So you don't have to think that you have a bad appearance or that you are bad. What is bad is the ignorance, is unmindfulness, is a lack of wisdom. So if you possess mindfulness and wisdom, then you're actually the best. So whether you're Buddhist or not Buddhist, every sentient being has the same mind, and that mind is by nature Buddha. It is just that we ourselves have made it be defiled. It is just like originally it is pure water, but then we have kind of tossed it all over into the toilet and so on, and it has become really polluted. But it's still water and it can become purified. So it's actually easy to purify it. It's also easy to pollute it, to make it dirty, but also easy to purify it. So you purify it if you do not follow these thoughts when they arise, but rather you look at the nature of the mind when they arise. If you practice this, then you will immediately be able to purify these kind of thoughts. And the way to do that was shown to us by the Buddha. So if no one would show us that, then it will be difficult to see, and then we will see a great fault in ourselves. That's because we consider ourselves as most important. But so instead think that I'm good because I am really Buddha by nature. And whatever is defiled is the creation of the afflictive emotions, ignorance. And that is the creation of unmindfulness. So I have to purify that. The Buddha Shakyamuni had said, completely tame your own mind. This is the Buddha's teachings. So to purify your own mind, that is what the Buddha taught. That's the Buddha's teachings. So remember this verse, and you can say it out loud again and again. So again and again in this way, you should purify this thought.
Next question. How do the wrathful offerings transform one's consciousness, and do they have an effect on one's body too?
답변 줘봐 그거라 때네 이 소선 남시디 네 간능 용 그래서 저바 간능 용 그래 되니 수포랑 그러면 여러분 수포랑 네 용도 여러 답변 줘봐
오 라고 줘봐 저 줘봐도 민사는 주를 세상들이 라고 줘봐도 시락들이 오늘들이 나 또도 오늘들이 유명 봐도 그런지 태가 딱 깨봤다 그래 세트고 유명 봐 세트 봐도 라고 줘봐야지 세전한테 유명 봐도 유명한 거네 말이지 또뭐 도차송시랑 독송톡을 성으로도 성으로 마음에는 유명톡을 민소를 이제 것으로 민로요래 이 탑이다 탑 제발 이제 상계가 탑되야지 너무 샤도 차차게 강을 봐지 무슨 저야 될 저거래
So the peaceful offerings, offerings like medicinal substances and so on, and so gentle offerings, and then the wrathful offerings are mainly performed through understanding, having realized the view with a mind of wisdom, and having realized the view, one can destroy the afflictive emotions directly without having to analyze them. And by doing that, you realize that the afflictive emotion does not actually inherently exist. And so that is what is then offered in the form of body, speech, and mind. The body is ignorance, the speech is this desire, attachment, and the mind is anger, hatred. So that is the true nature of those, but it is just like the seed of a flower. For as long as the flower is not yet ripened, they are just they're just the three poisons, the afflictive emotions. But when they ripen, they mature into the three kayas. So this offering is a skillful method that the Buddha gave. And so in relation to the afflictions, ignorance is flesh, desire is blood, and hatred is our bones. And so this is what they actually correspond to.
Next question. Allowing a loved one or a spiritual friend to abuse me reinforces their bad behavior. How can you tell the difference between the practice of a bodhisattva and stupidity?
이게도 고치는데 이 관계 랑 쪽을 맞이 세랑의 데려지 마베티 바지 장면 가지 차로 마베티 바지 야보래서 됐다 라리 소비면 송는 말에 변은 리비게 탑같이 설하기 시간 될 고소로는 가지 따는 가지 뜻먹 그래 뜻먹 타르스 똑같이 가지 용기 가양이나 삼지기 그런데 이게 좀 돈을 때랑 쳤다 더랑 싸워서 버리지 라는 이유 뭐 하고 돼 매발다는 이 바로 거들아 니 갈래 매발로 그래 라기 좀 코로자 타만을 반 제대기나 독도 그래 니가 독도 그래 너무 랑디 좀더 무슨 때 매발동선을 지지를 갈래 그래 생부터니라는 나다 매발다나 이 고소랑 이것들이 그래서 저도 그래야지 용지 좀 맞춰랑 용띠 맞다 송을 레타 물가로 용지 좀 따야 용 말이 랑 좀 따고 그래지 용지 용띠 통라 랑 당난지 랑 니지 다로 그래 랑 가지 차도 다로 그래 이 중소를 들으면 나자 용지 치야도 차도 치야도 그래 이게 중소를 하자 내 받치 뭐 그래지 이 용띠 따고 그래 세팅상이 유르사만 hin지돼서 하래야래 그것도 대신 뭐요리 자가는 hin지 주랑 잡고 때 하래네 삼류를 잡아래 상아 당하는 랑 빼피려래
So when somebody mistreats you, and then so actually they are responsible for their own actions, but then now your feeling of feeling humiliated or put down is actually your own pride. So actually you should think that being humiliated is a good thing. In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says that even if others disparage you, look down on you, you should not take them on with compassion. So if you get angry at humiliation or abuse, then that's also a sign of pride. And pride is the ultimate ignorance. It is because even though you might not have any great qualities, there still is this feeling of me, this I. And so then when you see the faults in others, rather turn inward and look at your own faults and first clean your own mind. And so before you look at others, first you make sure that you've purified your own faults and have eliminated your own afflictive emotions. And actually, if you're managed to do that, then slowly the other person will also change by you changing in this way. But then on the other hand, if you see something wrong, you criticize them for what they are doing, and you respond, like retaliate in an ordinary way, then both of you will just get worse and worse. So when you see the faults, then you should rather look inward and look at your own faults and eliminate your own afflictive emotions, your own pride. And when your own pride goes away, then also it will calm down the other person. It is said that do not look at the faults of others and do not look at your own good qualities. Especially for a beginning practitioner, you shouldn't look at the faults of others, and you should only look at their good qualities. And this is how you develop a pure perception, and meaning to purify the dualistic grasping. This is how you purify these afflictions of pride and jealousy and so on. So when you see the faults in others and you keep seeing it that way, then your own pride and your own jealousy will only increase more and more. So looking at the faults of others is therefore a really extremely harmful. So therefore, instead of doing that, only look at the other good qualities and look at the good things that they do. For example, if someone just cultivates a little bit of love and compassion, then recognize that and think that this is special, and also recognize that they all possess Buddha nature, and like in a way praise them for their good behaviors when love arises in them. And that will help you the most in cultivating a pure perception. Lord Jigten Sumgön had said in one of his great songs of realizations, do not begin with in the glorious Dharmadhatu and so on. So in there he said that you should, and then you should remember this over and over again, these words by Jigten Sumgön. So he said there that the children of the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, do not see the faults in mistakes caused by sentient beings' body, speech, and mind. Looking only at their good qualities, they have become liberated. So that is something you should always keep in mind. And so don't look at the faults of others. Look at their good qualities. And this is actually basically the same as what Batu Rinpoche had said.
Next question. What are your thoughts on people wearing the red and white nakba shawl, and what are your requirements for someone to be allowed to wear it?
다 담좀 맞아. 하가 용기 쳐버려. 사제 때만 저렇더니 끼쪽 세고 정말 담지 삼점에 자 용기 요래. 춘도 한강에 땅 국가들 대대. 주는 내가 대대 괜히 대니래. 대지 다 가래나. 대 종석을 로대 삼점에 잡아야 대 종마 때려더니 평무 저때지 당하면 뭐긴 요래. 나는 자기 가래 산 거를 생긴 피고 삼로대 상선은 자기 체시대 때 나야 보고 상태를 들이 좀 니가 정도래 그 sem체 좀 많이 하고 그때 나 삼한테 좀 되거든 그래서 나안 그러래 오 아니 따다다 보는데 나과 치레스 심지 가르쳐 심지 지금 오 콩하고 안 살이 처만한 이 말에서 지금 가르쳐 무슨 해서 그래 따듬 좀 말平 삼점에 잡아줘야 돼 따듬 하고 치 너가 치 가래나 개비치 담들이平 삼점에 잡아줘야 돼 좋은 거래 다 거래 삼로도 피고 삼로 선 거래
So the outer robe, the white and red ngakpa robe, is like a symbolic, a sign that kind of reminds us of a very great quality. And so when we see that, it reminds us of the great qualities of the Buddha in a moment. And so that's why it's of a great benefit. And so there are basically two classes of the Sangha, and the lay and the ordained, according to the sutras and the tantras. And a robe is, any robe really is a sign, like a symbol of belonging to this Buddhist Sangha community. So it has many benefits, a great benefit in wearing such a robe. So this is from the outer perspective. From the inner perspective, the most important criteria that you should possess for wearing this is a wish to benefit all sentient beings. That's most important. Now, if you wear it with also an intention and motive of yourself, I want to be happy or good, then that has then it would possess a false end qualities. So there is still some quality to it, but on the other hand, because there's also a self involved, you will lose out a little bit there. But so if you think that if I'm wearing these ngakpa robes and sentient beings see it, they may find joy in that, rejoice in that, and recognize the Buddha's qualities. They may think that, oh, he's not an ordinary householder, but he's a ngakpa, a tantric practitioner. So that is a good way, a good reason for wearing it, because in this way it becomes symbolic, and others recognize the meaning behind it. And it doesn't matter which kind of robes it are. It could be the robes of the Vinaya, or the robes of a ngakpa, or any virtuous robes. Most important is that you have a wish to benefit others by wearing them in general. And then after that, you should actually wear any of these robes or substances or symbols and so on.
Next question. What is the quickest way to accomplish shamatha, calm abiding?
내가 듣던 욕수진이 정수였지. 거가 능이 시골에서 능이 내려 타고 샘 타고도 샘 타고 다시 하고도 샘은 샘 코로나 능이 싸우는 거지. 능이 남도 저도 하고는 능이 이렇게 남도 방도 다 이렇게 내들도 용도래. 이제 거가 능이 시발사서 사이에서만 능이 시발사 공정 방아서 능이 시나 뉴모와 빵고레스. 뉴모와 빵고는 뉴모와 가이드 말해봐. 빵거들이 뉴모가 박차 좋고래. 얘네들 접사시지 호는 용고레스. 들이산속성이 용띠 대신 배배 동물들을 좀 봐요 고레스. 저거 동네시고래 동네. 맞다 좀 붙여봐야지. 저기 제발해. 이렇게 좀 상관안 저기 이투 등지와 린도 요해지. 뭐야? 라는 뜻. 다 등지와 린도 다 니모가 가래는 지왕을 내롱지를 땅을. 이 자자자 먹을 해서 와상비 밥이 별로 싸그래 때 등지와 로요해. 자자자 죽도록나니 내고 요래스. 소리 매지 않는 걸 산속 삽지가 온 거랬어. 내가 돈담도 사진이 이게 피는구나. 돈담고 내가 이미 하고 그랬어.
And the quickest way to accomplish shamatha, calm abiding, is to cultivate renunciation, to understand the suffering of samsara. If you want to become liberated from the suffering of samsara, you have to liberate your mind. And so when you want to attain liberation, when you cultivate renunciation, then that is how you begin to understand shamatha. So, because then you realize, by practicing shamatha, you realize that in my mind, there is actually no suffering. The suffering is something I create with my own thinking. And so knowing that, you will then be motivated to abandon these afflictive emotions from your mind, and you will want to practice shamatha. And when the Buddha taught the Dhamma first, he said, first you have to recognize suffering, and then you must abandon the origin of suffering. So once you understand suffering, then you have to abandon the afflictive emotions, which all come down to ignorance. It is because we are ignorant that we are unmindful, and this is how afflicted imprints are being placed into our mind. So the quickest way to attain shamatha is to cultivate renunciation to samsara. And it is also to understand the qualities of bodhicitta and to have an aspiration toward the ultimate truth that transcends birth and death. But most importantly, you have to understand suffering. For example, when you look at humans and animals, the difference between humans and animals is created by karma. As it is said, karma, cause and effect is the natural manifestation of one's moment-to-moment thoughts. So you should ask yourself, do I want to be born as an animal? And you look at animals. So the answer is obviously no. And so then if I don't want to be born as an animal, then I have to get rid of the afflictive emotion associated with that, which is ignorance. Otherwise, the karmic winds will take me to the animal realm. If ignorance remains in place, then I will continue to accumulate karmic imprints. And then with 100% certainty, I will take birth among the animals. So if I want to take birth in the higher realms as a human, I must cultivate loving kindness and compassion. And so that is why the Buddha had said, also in order to realize the ultimate truth, a non-dual truth, you must cultivate a wish to benefit others.
Next question. Guru Rinpoche said, for one of the samayas of Guru devotion is for one to wear something from the Guru on their body. Should the item worn on the body be related to Guru Rinpoche or Guru Garchэн Rinbocci?
Zogzo ti matabi tati cheta yodi ungni lama ji cha yin sam no lama ji ti lama di shokti bo ti ta ba ti ni lama di sanji ni zongye ta lama di sem sanji ri lama sem sanji ma se rang sem ti ya sanji ri ore mi ma mi chi pa mi sanji ka yo ma ri lama ri ti na lama di pa ti lama sem ri lama sem ti ka ri ta ti ko ta din o samji ji ri Then also to that would embarrass it. Tomato, Danshuk Namani Kano, the Lama same with the same thing, Mato. Eating with the Lama to say in Changti, that most of them shock to all the mini Lama Jai, something Lama to be on TV. This is an Lama because I'm told the last of what I'm saying. Then the Lama told Chushi was Chushi with the Yin to the rogo tamtani ro 메르사 탈라서 놓은 거 있잖아요. 이 탑지 탑을 상못해서 비용치고 쏘고 요리지. 동문에 들라마지 진실이 나글 라마 진실이 세 라마는 되더니 라마지 진비 띵이 라마 진비 용티 좀 설레야 돼. 때도 비시 봐요. 라마는 양기 되래지.
It's because we consider the outer material world as most important, that we think that what's most important is the guru's body and his physical object or form. But actually, what is the guru? What am I really? Am I just the body? That's not what I really am. What the guru really is the mind. It is because, however, that people consider the body as most important, that when they have this object, then it helps them to remember the guru in a very powerful way. But then we do have to understand what's the actual guru. The guru is actually the mind. So from the Buddha until the guru is the same mind. So the mind is Buddha, and moreover, your own mind is actually Buddha. The only difference is being matured or immatured. But actually, there is no separate Buddha. Then if you remember the guru, then you remember the qualities of the guru's mind. And so what is the guru's mind? On the relative level, it is a mind of love and compassion. And on the ultimate level, it is a mind that has realized the nature of the mind. It is a mind that has developed either one of the two kinds of bodhicitta. So if you have such an object that reminds you of that, it kind of serves as a reminder of those qualities. But it's not that you must necessarily have to wear a thing or keep it close to your body. But what you have to do is remember the guru, and that's the purpose of that. So the actual guru is the mind, and various objects that remind us of the guru's qualities. That's why there are various objects of enlightened body, speech, and mind. Or for example, it is in some of the teachings also mentioned that when a guru is deceased, then even part of like a relic of their body or their ashes and so on, all of the contact with these things actually all plants a seed of liberation. But that's also because of their mind. So there's the outer guru and the inner guru. And the inner guru is your mindfulness. And the outer guru is your support to remember this, to remember mindfulness. That is why the outer guru manifests with these great qualities. So the actual guru, however, is your own mindfulness, your awareness.
Ngam bolgi song mesh. Oh, tomato to achbori, tipata hang in reti, tebata mu, give yes, oh, Hong said it, Tyoris. Taja guide the same thing. 마다베 말을 타고요. 나도 그래 야 타베지. 까마마 냠도 되는 탐지 저를 타요 말지. 다 다난 미박하다 중자장 또도는 때려티들만 중도 거들이 민성도 또 그래야 돼. 나도 그래 야 타미 남포고를 민성에 까마 비서 말해야지.
In the Eastern Tibetan come, there's this one kind of example of things that people say from one of the previous incarnations of the Karmapa, and also like Panchen Rinpoche and the Dalai Lama. I considered these words as really precious, and so this one of the previous incarnations of the Karmapa has said that like whoever sees me from afar. They will not be born in the 3 lower realms. And then he said, but whoever sees me close, will go to the lower realms. And so that is because now when we have this distance, then we see the preciousness of the Guru's mind, and we develop faith and a pure view and devotion. Then whoever sees the Guru from this perspective will become liberated. So what becomes liberated is the ignorant mind becoming freed from the impure perception. This is how they become liberated. But then he said that those who stay close to me, like those right next by me, for them there are no higher realms, so they will go to the lower realms, and that's because due to the proximity that we tend to see the faults of the Guru, and then we are unable to develop a pure perception. And so because of this negative mind, then that's why we go, rather we take birth in the lower realms.
Next question. My deteriorating health is a serious barrier to my practice. How to overcome it?
다 디그들이 내도도 들들 착신이 있어. 내도도 추가 제소들 유명한 제요. 유명한 따라 안 주는 내는 내게 말이 디그서 따다 나타다 등에 참 시작이 방안지래. 나타도 요나야 따들 폐리오에서 소화진 나사들 장하지 마대는 이거 내 상조요. 미성도 대교정 보고 나와서 미용서 물을 못 치는데 그냥 불뭉치 보도 보는 세트에서 되나 불뭉치 보 소도 되다. 뒤에 노자하고 너무 체가서 매번 또 그럴만이. 근데 나사도 좀 때라들이 냠이 들어가랑 냠이 나사도 들어가랑 그래지. 이 조금 적디서 못해서 냠이 남서 내들 도서는 요래. 잠불는 이거 공간소로더니 나사 때에 독주해 봤더니 잠시 한국이지. 대인종요래. 그 자손 탈손에 너사적인 탈손 되다가 자야를 제선데 네 나나 동이가 르스트 반디 득득 착신이 페리오레스 고로는 유모 같은 고로란 거리 차도 예능 얘도 이제 말을 것도 써거든. 그래서 뒤시 와요 같은데 그래서 달래지 땅만서 요래 좀 뒤상도 땅이야 요래 나타도 좀 올라오는 땅부터 나타도 잘라마다
I mean, it is said that actually the all disease and illness and so forth are really what I say eliminate or kind of burn our afflictions and negative karmas, because all illness and suffering is created by our own afflictive emotions. And therefore, the experience of suffering or illness is just like, for example, undergoing a surgery. And that is painful, but you know that it's also beneficial. So even though there is suffering, you also can see that it is beneficial because it purifies karma. It is said that as a precious human being, a single headache can purify the karma that you would have to experience for a long time in the lower realms. And that is because you have a precious human body. And any suffering you experience in a precious human body is just like paying back a huge loan with a little piece of gold. So you can pay back a lot, a great deal with just a little piece of gold. So if you understand that, then at least half of your suffering will go away. So if you see the faults in the suffering and the sickness, then you should consider, for example, masters like Lord Chigden Sumgan, who actually, through his practice during the experience of a disease, became liberated. And so Chigden Sumgan actually contracted at that time the worst sickness he could have in the entire world or in Tibet. So he contracted leprosy. And even though that's terminal illness in a way, he, through his practice, was able to heal himself from this illness completely. Within just one single week, he was completely healed. So therefore, all suffering should be seen as like a kind of a surgical necessity to purify our negativities, our negative karma, and therefore they are beneficial. So if anything, you should get angry just at the afflictive emotions, like anger and jealousy and so forth, and ignorance, and use this as an opportunity to practice and to cultivate mindfulness and awareness so as to clear away ignorance, to purify your mind. So think that this is good because this purifies my negative karma. Don't think of it as a bad thing, but see it as like a stepping stone in your practice.
Next question. I have painful childhood memories, and they continue to weigh heavily on my mind. At 56, they still affect my self-esteem and make me feel insecure in my relationships with others. What can I do?
아까 좀 체시대 보고 전도 동행용 대장장도 저것도 저 세자로 뭐좀 체시대 망세대 모두 보면은 보고 전도 동행 같이 용서나 비가래 되는 농소통도 빼가는 다 영기 체주가 좀 하나 로니 저대도 대배하고 차송디 되게 독재리 카라카이나 사토바 내가 가이나 제토바 대담지 농이 요지됐다 농이지 내 장을 때 나하고 차송디 땅아 마음을 잡고도 양짝들이 샘디처럼 말을 명모 박차마샤바 제고시 제 잡고리더니 라를 채소지야 물을 못 채지 로를 톱던 채par다 봐봐 그렇게 생각이 물을 톱하고 요리배는 제가 장기고는 빼고는 제거는 상못하면 물이 공부원이 하고는들이 물이 짜고 짜치고래 대가리 대삼제를 송말이 이 저쪽 삼제를 있으면 대삼로다는 들이다 내가 동네 용한테 간 적성상 아니 선비 브로무소가는 게 상못한 거에 그렇죠 생각 최고 말 샘 대식도 다음 전 산제 센터에서 오래지 다 양당도 담아지 나디 장마주야 이들이 장미지게 나디 담아 나디도 삼지를 쪼고 그 다선 장들이 산지를 타려고 자꾸 오래지 약수들이 능이 가서 용을 때 야요 오래지
So actually, that's really the in the Western world for the Western students. That's really the biggest faults that they have. Everybody has something like that. It seems in the West, everybody has some painful experience from the past that they have to remember again and again. Most people, in fact, do. In Tibet, we don't actually have that. But in Tibet, we think that actually, the more I suffer in the past, the better it is, because I learned so much from that. I gained so much experience. For example, I myself, I was in prison for 20 years, and actually I felt that this is how I learned the most. This is how I developed most of my qualities. And now I'm able to eat anything, to do any kind of task, any kind of job, and nothing overwhelms me too much. And also I feel that the suffering I experienced had purified my negative karma. So I think that actually it was a good thing. It was good that I experienced that. Just in the future, I have to be careful so as not to create more such karma. In the future, I must be careful not to place more imprints of ignorance and afflictive emotions into my mind. But actually, when you think about the difficulty of finding a precious human body, you still have found a precious human body when you compare yourself to animals, for example. And it's extremely difficult to find a precious human body. That is why this world is called a Nirmanakaya Pure Land. And if you think about how difficult it is to find a precious human body in terms of numbers or examples or illustrations, you will see how rare it actually is, how hard it is to find a precious human body. For example, the only cause that leads to birth as a precious human being is a mind of love. So therefore, having found such a human body, even though I have experienced much suffering, I can think that that was very well. I gained much experience, I learned much, I purified my negative karma, paid back much karmic debt. And so in this way, you should lift yourself up and not lose your inner courage. And also think that you still have a mind, and that mind possesses you possess Buddha nature. So your true nature is actually pure. You just need to purify the obscurations again and again with love and compassion. So self-grasping is washed away by love and compassion. And then when self-grasping is purified, then you have become very close to the Buddha within yourself. So actually, if you experience much difficulties, you should think that it's better the more suffering I experience, the better it is.
Next question. Is it possible to conceive a child without a man's sperm by practicing highest yoga tantra through melting of the red and white drops and through the circulation of light?
어떤 코가 저 두거리 때렸더니 코가 저거 요래. 다좀 코가 거 보고서야 돼 코가 저리 데리티 저쪽만 해지 또 보고 좀 코가를 변나 코가를 탈고 요래. 저와 타고 탑이 남부치들이 데리티들이 다른 놈이 때려 있으면 이시 또 같아. 이모이 지금 탑이 나도 나한테 이시 이모를 들고 그래. 꼭 타고 이제 또 모두 코가를 해야지. 그 가서 주도 되죠. 이렇게 얘한테 좀 더 동의 오래 했으더라.
So conceiving a child is a thought of a kind of wanting a samsaric existence, because making a child is the cause of samsara, and also you actually cannot conceive a child that way. But so instead of thinking of conceiving a child, you should think about liberating yourself from samsara. And in the Buddhist practice, there are practices we practice with the channels, winds, and drops. And through these practices, we can realize what we realize is the ultimate and truth of non-dual primordial wisdom. So these practices are a method for transforming the afflictive emotions into primordial wisdom. Whereas when we think about conceiving a child, then we are transforming wisdom into afflictive emotions. And of course, some people do speak about the significance of like sustaining like a kind of a family line and so on, a lineage. But still, if we like, kind of perpetuate that, in the end, it is only more suffering. And so through the practices of the channels and winds, then we also can manifest through having seen the ultimate truth, the various pure lands of some Bogakayas and Nirmanakayas. So for the Nirmanakayas, for example, the Nirmanakayas who appear in the human world, the Prukus or Nirmanakayas in the human world, they still are not beyond the sufferings of humans, which is the sufferings of birth, aging, sickness, and death. And so therefore, through the practice of the channels and the winds, it's better to like emanate or kind of bring about through these practices the pure forms and the pure lands of the Sambhogakayas.
Next question. As per the teachings, we should do whatever the Guru tells us to do. But if he tells me not to be virtuous, then what should I do?
So if someone is, so generally speaking, if someone is an actual Lama, then they would not tell you to do something non-virtuous. Actually, that would be a sign of them not being a true Lama, because they want you to become liberated from samsara, and virtue is the method to become liberated from samsara. But then, so this is generally, broadly speaking, but then sometimes the activities of a Lama may seem to be non-virtuous, but sometimes there is a significance, a meaning, a reason behind doing that. Especially in the secret mantra, in the Vajrayana, often it can be a skillful method. Also, it is said that for a bodhisattva on the highest level, that 10 non-virtuous actions, or like the non-virtuous actions, can actually be permissible and therefore not become non-virtuous. So therefore, we cannot really say undiscriminately that something is non-virtuous necessarily. It depends also on the enlightened intent of that Lama. It depends on the different criteria of the Lama, between the Lama and the disciple. And so one cannot say outright that that this is always virtuous and this is always non-virtuous, because sometimes it is also possible that something may seem non-virtuous, but actually it is virtuous.
这这是我说了，他们可以做了，没给有满意送，因为你插头不上做什么呢？这到这了，没给教育，看看有满意的。
On Lord Chikden Somgan had said that to those bodhisattvas who have attained the bhumis, these activities may be an act of skillful means. So for them, there are no separate 10 non-virtuous actions.
Next question. My painting studio is infested with ladybugs, and I put a lot of effort into my work. When a ladybug falls on a wet painting, it ruins it all. What should I do?
What the Bizьяа, Manato Bizьяa, to drill a tar show, the passage.
So, what is that then? So you can just put some medicine on them and then make prayers for them to that may after they have died, then may they attain the state of liberation.
Next question. In regards to your Vajrasattva teaching on purifying the channels and winds, what do we do after we finish reciting the mantra? Is there a dissolution or does everything just vanish?
Then Dodges about the children, Tamsong, Santini, don't Dodges about some the rather sin that of the same so much house with Kakayo, my Kakamira Shigore. The Jenny that you darling, Nidin or Dadin or Dodges about the San Cemetery, Nidimia, the Dodges about me, yeah, but Chasson, the Jessica or last owner, Jessica, you might take away. It's all of that down the young to go at any. 炸了当的炸的弄的话被偏不清不有的，那前日的我的光的我的杨朋友的讲朋友的，你说这里老板让谁米老板也当他们让谁也没把看有嘛，得到大部分就有没记着马上压过来的。
So in the end, you can think that Vajrasattva dissolves into you, but ultimately, actually, your own mind is Vajrasattva. So you're not actually separate from Vajrasattva. When your mind becomes completely purified, then you are not separate from Vajrasattva. So that is the point you should understand here at the end of the practice, that you are not separate. And that you just create a separation due to a dualistic thinking of self and other. But Vajrasattva's nature is bodhicitta and non-duality, and that is indivisible from yourself. So at the end, you can just sustain mindfulness of this non-duality. It's actually very beneficial if you practice this practice with the channels and winds over and over again. It's almost like a bit like a science, actually. If you keep doing it over and over again, it will definitely be of great benefit. And at the end, you recognize that the Vajrasattva's mind, the Guru's mind, and your own mind, the Yidam's mind are all one. So at the end, all you need to do is just rest, settle within the view, the nature of the mind, without thinking about existence or non-existence.
Next question. I often think that I have already died. Everything appears as the bardo after death. Should such thoughts be chased away or used for practice? If so, how exactly?
프로바실레피도 데니 고육 참마 바르도난 신사게도 데니 티 갑라티 남도티 마 요고르베 야나 남도 크라고리 데니 남도 크라고나 남도 칸나
가리 샬나 데 땡니 물람까지 되는 로요리 어떤 그니레스 사실 저것도 파미르랑 티랑마데 다다 샤롱을 요리지 때문에 데 주마타베 데레스 가야 마스 티카라파 체가리 조 냠니스나 조 딱게 동주 문서 지주 로이 좀 요소 이 냠니스나 서대 조거리 상당고 말이지
in whichever way things appear, think that it is just like a dream. This is how we go about in our dreams. We think that in whichever way things appear, it's real. And later, it will be the same when we have left behind the body, when we come into the bardo. It will be the same perception, but it is also illusory by nature. So when these kind of perceptions arise, don't think anything at all, and just directly practice looking at the mind directly. Is that without engaging the mind in any single way, just of grasping at a true concrete reality, just rest in the natural way. So without thinking anything, just look at the experience directly.
Next question. What advice do you have for someone that wants to practice the Dzogchen or Mahamudra path for the rest of their life?
살짝 제보 좁아 제보 상마지 내록들한 거 셋 내록만 집어들이 곰자야 되리 곰자야한테 다니도 상마지 저걸 곰자야리 까마찌를 곰자는 상마지 바로 결마에서 개와 거기서 곰자야리 이 따하고는 따오면 안 돼. 이 따하면 그것들이 사바체밍은 안 돼. 이거 돼야리
So Mahamudra and Dzogchen and so on is just the nature of the mind, the true nature of your mind. It is just about practicing meditation. It means to practice meditation. But we have to meditate from now onwards until attaining enlightenment, not just for a minute or some time. When we say this prayer, from now until I attain enlightenment, I will apply my body, speech, and mind to virtue. This means that I will practice meditation. So if you understand the view, then you can just rest within the view, the natural state of the mind. And if you have not yet understood the view, then you should just settle in a state of love and compassion.
Last question. I feel anger at injustice or when people are abused or oppressed, but I have heard you say that getting angry burns our good karma. Please speak about wrathful compassion.
대라린 소비면 좀 달라 이바 중재니 이제 가다다고 뭐 주지나 지책도 찾길 홍가래라나 랍지 아티야 마마들이 많이 가요 이제 잡을 딜 제가 그 양사다 많이 가요 연거 요리 제가 좀 항상 로요 그래서 지하면 예상 로요리 그 맞을 손서 돼 버리지 진짜로 어디에 레를 파요. 정말 고소만 때랑도 큰일이와 레레지. 고소란 거 말이지. 고소를 때려 레 말이 안 거리지. 밤에 만들어난 거리지 고소. accumulated satsavares.
In the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says, even if I have not done the slightest thing wrong, even if someone were to cut off my head, if I have not done the slightest thing wrong, and so forth. So we take them up with compassion instead of getting angry at them. So when somebody abuses you or somebody else, if it's you, then you should think that let him say whatever he wants to say. When somebody, for example, wrongly accuses you, it is also the result of you having accused somebody wrongly in a previous life. And also, for example, that's why we are often innocently arrested and put into prison, because we have created the karma already in previous lives. And if you understand that, you can think that this is, well, now I'm purifying this karma. This is just my karma. And also, if you observe that in somebody else, if somebody else abuses somebody else, you should still not get angry at them, at the injustice, because it's still a karmic connection between the two of them. If you get angry, then that will only cause ignorance and unmindfulness to surface, to rise again. And so those two people, one, the abuser and the abused, also have already created that karma in the past.
다 저거는 되니다다 저한테 두개 제도 참을 뱅거리 다 타고 나와야 하자 다 같이 뭐 짜치 머리 가게 되는 이제 또 같이 보더니 신하면 페페도 지리 정말 좋지 무슨 이 감이들이 대자 산초서 봐 짜치 뭐 신하면 페페도 지리라 참아 되는데 토탐지 샘다티 가자티 전인을 때리지 섭제적으로 내가 까들이 기와를 비용친 머리 들이서 다 때렸더니 들이 용맹 고치지 요래 내니 때린 지종만이 정대 미ሾ가를 받더니 라는 게다 같이를 하자 수는 좀 못하고 요래 나랑이 때리자 용맹을 대 도면 니고면 니네 잡지 서두카지 빠는들이 어서 잡을 대 요래 되게 탑재가 되는 애들이 되가리 다 게다 강 덕덕덕인지 정말 좋지 못하고 그들이 잡라 야보 요래 되게 대바탑지 고조 요거래 요바탑지 끌미 요거래 라게 두종 요거래 저런서 산님 잡아 찾기 요래 들이지 하자 기침 머리에 내 참을 다시 델렉시비.
Thank you everyone for your questions. It really is very beneficial for everyone. Actually, right now there's a very important, like a special, like a Buddhist, like a holy time, a sacred time. That in the is it the Gelukpa Ngangchu Chembora? The Gelukpa Ngangchu Chembora.
So kaba.
So it's the Gelukpa, the kind of Ngangchu Chembo, which is like a prayer festival for the Gelukpa, and that is to commemorate Tsongkhapa's passing into Nirvana. And so during those times when special bodhisattvas, we commemorate the Nirvana of special bodhisattvas, it is very beneficial to direct the mind to virtue single-pointedly and to engage in virtuous practice. So that's also why some are holding a Nyungne practice. And from today onwards, because it's the 15th day of the Tibetan month until the 25th, during this time, it's very beneficial to practice as much merit, as much virtue as possible. So I myself can't do the full Nyungne, also because of sleeping. However, I'm trying to keep the Nyungne. At least I'm not eating half. I'm trying at least not to eat half the day, so after midday in the afternoon. So basically, we should try to practice virtue as well as we can until the end of this Gelukpa Ngangchu Chembo for the next 10 days. And so during this time, it is very important to practice, because you can think that it fulfills the enlightened intent of these masters in the past, and also it encourages beings now to engage in practice, and also it purifies our negative karma or afflictions, and it's an incredible accumulation of merit. So it's a very important. I encourage you and to engage in practice during this time. So Dashidele to everyone.
Sajo senjo rinpoche maji pana jijo je jibo nyamba me boyang kongye kongde bewa yo kamjale.
We'll do the long life prayers in the yellow prayer book on page 22. For this realm, encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of all benefit and happiness. Tenzin Gyatso, Lord Chenrezig, may you remain steadfast until the end of samsara. Embodiment of the three jewels, great being who upholds and increases the teachings of the Shakya lion. Supreme are your activities of guiding others with your perfect deeds. May you, the precious Guru who accomplishes everything spontaneously, live long. Holder of the teachings of the Lord Drigumpa, great Lord of the three jewels, through the power of your peerless compassion and the holy Dharma's peace and light, you bring relief to beings. May your life be long. The one known in the noble land as Arya Deva emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chodingpa, the heart son of Jigden Gompo. May the life of the glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. Page 28. May the teachings of the great Drigumpa Ratna Shri, Master of Interdependence, Omniscient Lord of Dharma, who has seen all knowable things, be upheld until the end of cyclic existence through study, practice, hearing, contemplation, and meditation. Your 1,000 arms are the 1,000 wheel-turning kings. Your 1,000 eyes are the 1,000 Buddhas of this fortunate eon. Your love is boundless like space. I supplicate to the Bodhisattva Chenrezig.
Om
Utajaka jubu tropo namba sama tashi dele kutsilingbo long la.
Dashidele to all my friends joining us on the live stream. Have a good health and long life.
Thank you to our masterful Guru Garchэн Rinpoche for perfectly answering our questions, and be sure to join us tomorrow for the White Tara practice and Jangchuk for the living and Khenpo Tenzin's meditation on the 37 Bodhisattva practices. Everyone, thank you. Take care. Be well.